It happened in mid-February. Not with a slammed door. Not with a screaming match. But with a laugh. We were parked outside a gas station, Colton and I. The kind of Midwest gray morning that makes you question whether the sun ever really existed. Windshield fogged up from our breath. Empty fast food wrappers crumpled in the back seat. A few years ago, those were signs of a bonding trip. Now they were just clutter. He was scrolling on his phone, not saying much. We were supposed to be reviewing the travel plan for his upcoming volleyball tournament in Michigan. Hotel choices, gas costs, gear, the usual. I'd already blocked off the weekend, prepped the route, sent 2 follow-up emails to the coach confirming I'd be the one driving. He kept glancing at his screen, kept ignoring the folder I had printed and placed between us. His thumb moved faster with every second I spoke. That's when it happened. I said something small. Something about maybe booking a hotel closer to the venue so we wouldn't have to deal with early morning traffic. He didn't even look up. He just laughed and said it like it was nothing. You're just mom's old ATM. Kevin signs the checks now. That laugh, that stupid, smug laugh, it didn't erupt. Slid out soft, cruel, confident, like he'd been saving it. He didn't know what he'd done. He thought it was a joke. He thought I'd laugh too. Kevin. I hadn't even heard the name spoken out loud in weeks. I had only ever heard about him through my ex-vague mentions. Passive comments. Kevin might stop by practice. Or Kevin said Colton should take creatine. It was never aggressive, never official. Just always hovering. And now it was spoken like a crown. Like he'd won something. Like I had been replaced and should accept it with a smile. I didn't say a word. I stared through the windshield at the row of red pumps and the flickering LED sign that promised 2 cents off a gallon with a rewards card. I remember the exact number of degrees on the dashboard. 31. I remember because the cold outside felt warmer than what was sitting next to me. I had been there for Colton since he was 9. I met his mother when he was still small enough to believe in snow days and SpongeBob marathons. His dad had already vanished. One of those fathers who shows up for birthdays when someone reminds him the date. The kind who believes presence is optional, but the title is permanent. I never asked for that title, but I earned it anyway. Cleats, practice fees, sprained ankles, overnight bags, emotional blow-ups after games. I sat through it all. I held the line when no one else did. Not because I had to, because I chose to. And Kevin? He showed up with a 6-pack and advice. Told Colton to man up after a loss. Talked about grit. Talked about honor. Talked about earning respect. He talked a lot, but his wallet never did. And yet there I was, sitting in my own car, listening to my own stepson tell me that my role had been replaced by a man who'd only just figured out what sport he played. That night, I didn't drink. I didn't rant to friends. I didn't pace. I printed out a document. 1 page. An affidavit formally withdrawing all voluntary financial contributions related to Colton's life, school, activities, travel, insurance, everything. I had my lawyer draft it 6 months ago. Quietly, just in case. I had never planned to use it. Not until that laugh. By 8 p.m. it was signed and notarized. By 8:10 I had it scanned and sent to 3 people. My attorney, the school district finance office, my tax advisor. By 8:30, I was watching Colton's highlight reel on mute. Just watching his face in slow motion. Watching the fire in his eyes when he played. Wondering how something that fierce could also be so blind. The next morning, the sun rose like it always does. Unbothered. I made coffee. I answered emails. I checked my bank balance and smiled. I was free. You don't realize how much weight you're carrying until it slips off your shoulders. I'd been dragging that family behind me for nearly a decade. A sled full of expectations, silent agreements, and one-sided affection. All gone with a laugh. It didn't start this way. Colton used to leave me notes in the gear bag I packed for him. Thanks for the snacks. Or you the best driver. Crayon drawings at first. Stick figures with giant heads and Coach Dad scrawled across the top. He called me Jay for a while, then Jay, then sometimes even Dad. Then he turned 13, and suddenly the way he looked at me changed. I thought it was puberty. I thought it was normal. I thought he's a kid. Let him grow. But he didn't grow into anything. He grew out of me. The last time he called me Dad was the night I bought him new pads for his club team. Expensive ones. His biological father had bailed again, and his mom was juggling hours at the clinic. I told her I'd take care of it. Colton looked at the box, smiled, and said, "Thanks, Dad." I didn't correct him. I never would have. But the moment passed. The next week, he was calling Kevin Big K and showing off the new gym gloves Kevin lent him. The gym gloves I paid for. I recognized the Amazon receipt. When I mentioned it, he just shrugged. Kevin helps me train. You wouldn't get it. That's how it started. Small, passive, words with edges. You wouldn't get it. Kevin says I should bulk. Kevin knows a guy at Gatorade. I kept paying. I kept driving. I kept nodding. Even when I said no, like when he asked me to fund a spring break trip to Florida with friends, I still offered half. His mom texted back, "That's okay. Kevin can handle it." He didn't. The trip never happened. And still, in Colton's eyes, I was the villain. The first one to say no after a decade of yes. When I stopped the payments, there was no explosion. No big moment. Just small ripples. The school emailed his mom. "We no longer have an account on file from Jordan B." The coach texted, "Hey man, just checking. Did we miss your payment for the next tourney?" She replied to both. "We're handling it now. Thanks." I saw the forwarded screenshots. Not from her. From someone else. Even my own disappearance was treated like a typo. Like something that could be fixed with Kevin's new job. He'd been promising to step up for months. I waited. I watched. 2 weeks later, Colton missed his first tournament of the season. 3 weeks in, he needed a ride to practice and Kevin never showed. By week 4, the team group chat was filled with parents wondering who was covering snacks for the road trip. It had always been me. They didn't even know who Kevin was. I didn't respond. I let the silence answer. And still, not a word from Colton. No texts. No calls. Just stories on social media with Kevin in the background. Arms folded like a superhero who just paid for lunch. But lunch doesn't buy legacy. And silence doesn't pay fees. They'd replaced the man. But not the foundation he built. And foundations, when pulled, don't make noise. They just let the house collapse. Came through my phone like a bullet. Not from my ex. Not from Colton. But from Milo. Milo, of all people, Colton's teammate, the quiet one with braces and that awkward habit of always thanking me for Gatorade. I used to drive them both to practice. They'd pile into the back seat, toss their bags, complain about school and girls, and Milo would always say, "Thanks, Mr. B," before stepping out. He was raised right. I used to think maybe Colton would learn something from him. Then, out of nowhere, I get a voice memo from Milo. No text. No warning. Just a file. 42 seconds long. I played it in my garage with the engine still cooling behind me. The air smelled like gasoline and old paper. I had been reorganizing storage bins, the ones with Colton's old soccer trophies and report cards. Trophies I paid to engrave. Report cards I once hung on the fridge. The message started with static. Then a voice. Kevin's voice. "Jordan's just a wallet with legs. His time's up. This is my house, my family. He needs to disappear." His tone was cocky, almost performative, the kind of voice men use when they know they're being admired by someone weaker. There was laughter in the background. Colton's unmistakably. I stood still for a long time after the recording ended. Not angry, not shocked, just still. Because I knew. This wasn't about money anymore. This wasn't about Florida trips or volleyball tournaments. This was war. And they thought I'd already surrendered. They forgot who built the field they're playing on. They forgot who signed the checks. They forgot the man behind the silence. I didn't call Milo. I didn't even thank him. I didn't want to drag him into what was coming. But I knew why he sent it. He had sat in my backseat too many times. Heard the way Colton spoke to me. Seen the way Kevin showed up late with excuses and sunglasses. Milo knew who the real man was. And he knew I deserved to hear the truth. That night I didn't react with rage. I acted with precision. I opened my files and started drafting. A document formal, legal, unforgiving. I called it a mutual respect agreement. But the name was irrelevant. The terms were the point. Every financial request from Colton would now require pre-approval. Every dollar transferred would require documentation, purpose, and a defined outcome. No respect, no payment. Simple. I printed 3 copies. Signed them in front of witnesses. Had them notarized again. This wasn't revenge. This was a line. Kevin wanted me to disappear? Fine. But first, they'd feel the hole I left behind. Colton didn't get it at first. He thought it was a glitch. He texted me, "Hey, can you send gas dollar?" I replied, "Refer to Section 3B. All reimbursements must be preceded by submission of receipts." He sent a? I didn't answer. A day later, "Need money for new gear." I replied, Page 2. Funding must be earned or matched. He thought it was a joke. Thought I'd fold. Because I always had. Because fathers, real or pretend, aren't supposed to itemize love. But this wasn't love anymore. This was debt collection. 2 weeks in, he missed a tournament. Didn't have a ride. He texted. Kevin was busy. His mom was tired. He blamed me. I ignored it. 3 weeks in, he submitted a project late. Said his tablet was broken. I knew where it was. Left behind at Kevin's. Lost. Forgotten. For weeks in, the text stopped. He went quiet. Not out of pride, out of calculation. Because the bills were stacking. And Kevin wasn't the man they hoped he'd be. I held the line. No shouting. No threats. Just PDFs, clauses, and reminders. Obligation does not mean servitude. Funding requires structure. Respect is not retroactive. Each response was colder than the last. Not out of spite. Out of necessity. He wanted to test manhood? Then let him learn the price of neglect. Week 5. A shift. He sent a photo. A screenshot of his school portal. His grade had gone from AD to AB. No explanation. No follow-up text. Just the screenshot. And a thumbs-up emoji. I stared at it for a long time. Because I knew what it meant. He remembered the clause. Car insurance eligibility is tied to academic performance. He hadn't argued. He hadn't protested. He just adapted. Somewhere, between the missed rides and ignored messages, he realized Kevin's advice didn't fill gas tanks. He realized his mom's silence wasn't protection. And he realized that respect, real respect, had a shape, a structure, a cost. He wanted the car. So he changed the grade. Not for me, for himself. And for the first time in months, I felt something like hope. By week 6, the requests changed. He stopped asking for handouts. He started sending proposals. Typed. Formatted. With goals. One email read, "Proposal. $75 for gym membership. I'll cover $25 from part-time job, use 4x per week, and log each visit." Another said, "Request. Partial payment for new cleats. I can mow lawns for balance. Estimate. $40 shortfall." I didn't even care about the money. I cared about the posture, the tone, the work. This wasn't a boy texting for a favor. This was a young man outlining effort. Kevin would have laughed at the structure, called it overkill, said, "Just ask your mom." But Kevin never built anything. He only inherited pieces and called himself a builder. Colton was learning, not from Kevin, not from his mother, from silence, from boundaries, and from the echo of every dollar I didn't send. Then came the night that told me everything had changed. It was raining, cold, hard. I pulled into my driveway late, tired from work, groceries sliding on the passenger seat. Colton was standing on my porch, soaked, no umbrella, hoodie clinging to him, hands in his pockets. He didn't knock, just waited. I stepped out of the car. He looked at me, eyes not wide, not soft, clear. "I get it now," he said. "I thought it was about the money, but it wasn't. Was it?" I didn't reply. I unlocked the door, let him in. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't complain. He sat at the table while I put groceries away. After a while, he said, "I want to make this right." I nodded. Didn't promise anything. Just listened. He pulled out a folder. Actual folder. With notes. Budget plans. Tournament fees. Gas estimates. Even a part-time job schedule. He was asking for support, not expecting it. He wasn't demanding a father. He was earning one. That night, I approved his latest request. Transferred the amount. Under the note line, I wrote, "Paid per agreement from Colton B. Not son. Not love you. Not yet." This wasn't sentiment. This was structure. And structure was what saved us. April. Everything in the house had thawed except the distance. Colton had started submitting his budget plans without prompting. Texts came with full breakdowns, Google Sheets, sometimes even notes. No hey before, no thanks after. Just links, numbers, and effort. It wasn't warm, but it was disciplined. And discipline I could respect. That month was big regional qualifiers. If he performed well, colleges would notice. A tournament like this wasn't just another entry on the calendar. It was the kind of event that created leverage. The kind you could build scholarships from. The entry fee was $520. Not outrageous, but enough to make him pause. He sent a message. "Can we talk tournament? Not need cash. Not cover this." He asked to talk. That was new. We met at the diner near my office. He showed up early. Brought a notebook. Pages dog-eared. Lines scribbled. It wasn't neat, but it was prepared. "I'll do parking duty on weekends," he said. "Coach said they need help. I'll skip the next 2 hangouts. That's like $60 saved. I get a stipend from school next week. I'll pitch in from that too." He wasn't smiling. He wasn't posturing. He just laid it out. Earnest. Nervous. Like the old Colton I used to drive to 4th grade practice, hands fidgeting with his mouth guard, asking if I thought he'd get playing time. I closed the notebook. "Good plan," I said. Then I paid the full fee. He tried to object half-heartedly, but I cut him off. "Look at the transfer," I said. In the memo line, "Paid per agreement from Colton B. Not a gift. Not a bailout. Contract fulfilled." The day of the tournament arrived with stadium lights and early spring wind. The kind of cold that hangs in your bones, even under a hoodie. I showed up on time, seat cushion under one arm, thermos in hand. Same spot I'd sat in for years. Same chair I bought when he was 10, the one with the folding side table and busted zipper pocket. The stands were crowded, louder than usual. Colton had become a name now. Coaches murmured when he spiked. Parents asked which number was that kid. Kevin stood up every time Colton served, clapping like a stage dad. His mother filmed every point with a story captioned, "My baby's kill game." Everyone cheered, but I only watched one face. Colton. He didn't scan the stands for Kevin. He scanned them for me. Every point, his eyes flicked past the crowd until they landed on my row. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. But I saw the recognition, the silent wait, the understanding. "You got me here. You." Late in the final match, after a brutal set and 3 near injuries, the head coach called a timeout. Players huddled. He pointed at Colton, gave him a look I recognized, the "this one's yours" look. When the team returned to the court, the coach stepped to the center line and raised the mic. "This young man didn't just show up," he said. "He earned it. Through work. Through commitment. That's what we're here to recognize." Applause. Whistles. Cell phones raised. Everyone looked at Colton. He looked at me. Not Kevin. Not his mother. Me. He didn't mouth thanks. Didn't tear up. He just nodded. Once. Solid. Like a handshake you feel in your spine. That nod was louder than any thank you I'd ever gotten. Because it came with weight. With history. With cost. After the game, the parents gathered in clusters. Photos. Cupcakes. Slaps on the back. Kevin did his usual bit. Bragged to the assistant coach. Talked about how Colton trained with him in the garage. I almost laughed. The only thing Kevin trained was his Instagram angle. He didn't know the difference between a libero and a setter until January. Still, Colton didn't correct him. Didn't defend me. Didn't push back. That part still stung. He was learning respect, yes, but he hadn't yet learned how to offer it in public. His loyalty was cautious, private, like everything hard-earned. I didn't linger. I walked to the edge of the lot and waited near my car. Cold air in my lungs. Hands in my jacket pockets. I didn't expect a goodbye. Then footsteps. Quick ones. He walked up. No gear bag. No smile. Just him. Hey! Hey! Silence. That thing the coach said. Yeah. I didn't tell him. I guess he just saw it. I nodded. It shows. He looked down at his shoes. Then up again. I still think about what I said. That ATM thing. Yeah. I didn't mean it like I hated you or anything. I thought if someone else was stepping in, it meant I could choose who mattered more. I didn't interrupt. I let him finish. But you didn't disappear. You just stopped making it easy. There it was. Not an apology, but the truth. And sometimes that's more valuable. That night I got a message from his coach. Short. Thanks for whatever you said. Kid's grown up this season. I didn't reply, because I hadn't said anything. Not to the coach. Not to Colton. I had let the silence do the talking. That silence built the bridge Kevin's noise never could. That silence cost more than any tournament fee. But it paid off. Colton began sending me weekly updates. Not requests. Updates. Grades. Schedule. Budget for the month. He started tracking gas usage and splitting grocery lists. He asked if he could help cover our next meal out. Not because I needed help, but because he needed to prove he could. I let him. He paid the tip. In cash. From his own wallet. Didn't make a show of it. Just left it on the table. Exact change. We left the restaurant and walked in silence. But this time it was a good silence. Back at the house, I passed by the fridge and noticed something new. A drawing. Slipped under a magnet. Crude. Done with a pencil. Stick figure spiking a ball. On the jersey it said, "Be not just the name, the backbone." No signature. No explanation. But I knew who made it. Later that week, Kevin sent a message. One of those drunken voice notes. Slurred. Mocking. Something about how, I got lucky Colton turned out okay. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to Colton. No comment. No caption. An hour later, Colton replied. He doesn't speak for me. I know. His mom hasn't said much. She texts occasionally, mostly logistics. Never emotion. But I know she watches. I know she sees the shift. Kevin's jokes have stopped. His presence has shrunk. Because he knows. They all know. I'm not the ATM. I'm the standard. The one who stayed. The one who pulled back when respect left the room, and watched as respect came crawling back, dollar by dollar, action by action. I didn't buy my way in. I just stopped paying for everyone else's ignorance. And when the cheering stopped, when the jerseys were folded, when the rides were done, the only voice that still mattered was the one that said nothing at all, but nodded in the cold and meant it. It was quiet after the tournament. No parties. No family dinners. Just a Tuesday night and a message. Short. Honest. From Colton. Sorry for what I said. I was out of line. Thanks for everything. No emojis. No excuses. I stared at it for a while before replying. I forgive you. Let's move forward. Simple. Final. Nothing flowery. I didn't need an apology to erase the past. I just needed it to stop dragging behind us. He wasn't asking to be my son again. He was asking to stop being a stranger. That was enough. The changes didn't come like a storm. They came like morning fog, slow, unnoticed, until one day the world looked different. Colton started checking in. Not just for money. He sent grade reports on his own. Built calendars. Showed me spreadsheets that weren't assigned for class. He learned to budget without asking. To plan without prompting. I didn't have to chase him. He came to me with proof before requests. Not once did I hear Kevin says. Kevin had gone quiet. Like noise after a slammed door. Colton's mom didn't comment either. Her messages were cold, logistical. Will you be there at 4? Did Colton drop off the forms? Never a thank you. Never an I'm sorry. And that was fine. Because I wasn't doing it for her. I never was. When summer came, Colton applied for 3 jobs before asking my opinion. He picked the one with the lowest pay because it left time for training. That told me more than any conversation could. He paid for half of his own summer gear. Trained at 6 a.m. before work. Came home and iced his knees without whining. He stopped waiting for rides. He started asking for advice. Once, he texted me mid-shift. Some dude at work said you're the guy who helped run the fundraiser in 18. That true? Yeah. He said it raised over 10 grand. Respect. I sent a thumbs up. He replied with one back. No words needed. That was our language now. Short. Earned. Enough. One Saturday he came over with a folder. Inside, application materials for 3 colleges. He'd written the essays himself. Printed transcripts. Annotated scholarship opportunities. All without being told. Can you look this over? He asked. Sure. I want you to be the one who helps. Not her. Not Kevin. Okay. He didn't say why. He didn't need to. Kevin hasn't messaged in months. No more voice notes. No more drunken wisdom. He doesn't offer rides. Doesn't pitch in for fees. I think he knows what he is now. A guest in a story he didn't write. He was loud while it was easy. But you don't see men like Kevin when the real work begins. Colton saw it. Eventually, he saw who showed up when nothing was owed. Who stayed when the spotlight dimmed. Who said no and still stood nearby. You don't need blood to leave a mark. You just need backbone. And I was the only man in that house who ever had one. The final turning point came on a Tuesday evening. Nothing big. Just a regular night. I was unloading groceries when Colton walked in, keys in hand, wearing that old hoodie from his freshman year. The one I'd bought him after he made the team. You still doing tacos on Tuesdays? You still helping with dishes? He smirked. Deal. We ate in silence. Like always. Like before. Halfway through, he looked up. I still think about that car ride. The one at the gas station. Yeah. That was the moment you changed, right? That's the moment I stopped paying to be mocked. Fair. Another bite. Then, you still would have driven me to Michigan, huh? If you'd looked me in the eye, yeah. He nodded. Didn't argue. Then, do you think we're good now? I thought about it. Chewed. Swallowed. We're building something. That's better than being good. He smiled. That small, tired smile I hadn't seen since he was a kid. Like he'd finally stopped pretending he didn't care. Like he'd finally dropped the script Kevin gave him. That night he stayed late. Washed dishes. Cleaned the counter. Didn't need to, but he did. Before he left, he said, I get why you pulled the money. I get why you stopped being nice. I didn't stop being nice. I stopped being available to people who refused to see me. He nodded. You're not an ATM. No. You're the standard. Damn right. And then he left. No hug. No handshake. Just that look, the one you give a man you finally see as one. In the months since, Colton's been consistent. Not perfect. Not grateful all the time. But steady. He handles his business. He keeps his word. And when he falls short, he owns it. I match his energy, not more. I check, but I don't chase. I guide, but I don't carry. I'm the presence behind the process, the foundation he can lean on, not the crutch he can drag. His mother still doesn't thank me. Kevin avoids my name. That's fine. I wasn't doing it for recognition. I was doing it because someone had to teach the boy how to become a man. And now he knows that manhood doesn't mean loud. It doesn't mean cash. It doesn't mean pretending to be a father when the real one won't show up. Manhood is about showing up anyway, saying no when it's easier to say yes, letting someone struggle when they need to earn their way back, staying silent until the silence itself teaches them something. Colton learned. Eventually, he learned money follows respect, not biology. He learned love without discipline is indulgence. He learned a man doesn't give endlessly just because he can. A man gives when it builds something, when it matters. And I didn't buy him back. I didn't pay for forgiveness. I didn't hand him his future wrapped in comfort. I helped him reclaim himself, brick by brick, clause by clause, with boundaries that didn't bend, and love that didn't beg to be seen. Now, when I see him walk into a room, I don't see a boy who resented me. I see a young man who grew up inside the absence I left behind, and filled it with respect. So now I ask you, was I wrong? Was I wrong to draw the line after being called a paycheck? Was I wrong to demand respect before support? Was I wrong to let my silence do the teaching? Would you have done it differently? Would you have kept paying? Or would you have, finally, asked the boy who called you nothing to become someone worth fighting for?